beautiful homemakers. I'm beginning Chapter 12 of Secrets of Fascinating Womanhood. Secret number 9, just ask with a smile. Saturday morning dawned clear and sunny. Angela awoke early and went for her run. Today she managed to run a full 20 minutes before getting puffed. She walked a few minutes to recover, then ran the 5 minutes back home. After showering, she began sorting through all her clothing. She put to one side all her masculine, dark-colored slacks and heavy sweaters. At the back of the wardrobe, she saw her bright red, flared dress with frilly white sleeves and neck. Ted had bought her that dress during their courtship. Angela had not been able to fit it since becoming pregnant with David. However, she was now slimmer than she had been in years, so she decided to try it on. It was tight around her hips and breasts, but Angela was thrilled that she was even able to fit into the dress. She also put on the wide, white vinyl belt that went with the dress. By holding her breath, she could buckle it up to the belt hole she had used when she was still single. Angela admired herself in the mirror. She looked good. The roll around her waist was almost gone, and her upper arms and hips were noticeably slimmer. She decided there and then to set herself a goal to lose enough weight over the next few days to wear the dress fitting comfortably to the next FW class. Angela was able to smile at her reflection in the mirror, something she usually found impossible to do. Her spirits soared. She felt like singing aloud. Why not? It's one of my assignments for this week anyway. Angela continued to sing as she prepared breakfast cereal for herself and the children. Her high spirits were contagious. When David and Tiffany came into the dining room, they were both smiling broadly. "You're happy this morning, Mom," said David. "Yes, it's a beautiful morning, David," she said with a melodious voice. "I feel happy, and I love both of you very much." She put her arms around them both and kissed them on their cheeks, first one side, then the other. David was a little embarrassed, but his smile was even wider as he sat down to eat his breakfast. Angela walked to class again on Wednesday evening. She wore her red dress with the white belt. Since Saturday morning she had halved all of her meals and had gone for a run every morning and every evening. Every night she had slept like a baby. The red dress now fitted her perfectly. Also, her hair was now long enough to gather up into a small ponytail, just as her father had liked it when she was a young woman. As she walked through the downtown area, she met Brian, a friend of Ted's, coming out of a restaurant doorway. "Hi, Angela," he said with a broad smile, and glanced at her with obvious approval. "Hello, Brian," she said with a melodious lilt in her voice, and smiled back. "Wow, you look nice tonight. Can I give you a ride somewhere?" "Thank you, Brian, but I'm just going up the road a little further." "How's Ted?" "He's fine." "Oh, well, see you around, Angela." "See you, Brian." Angela walked on, feeling pleased. Feminine instinct told her that Brian had found her attractive. Angela was early for her class, one of the first in the classroom. As the other women arrived one by one, Angela noticed that all of them were dressed femininely this evening. Up until now, most had worn trousers. Tonight, all wore dresses or skirts except Cherry, who wore snug-fitting cream slacks with a bold orange pattern. Cherry also wore a yellow blouse and a small matching yellow scarf around her hair, which was French-plaited down her back. Even Beth wore a white frock. The FW teacher was obviously delighted. "How lovely you all look tonight." Her eyes were shining. "And very fascinating to men," she added. "Now, who has a feminine experience to share with us?" Nearly the entire class raised their hands, including Angela. "Beth, let's hear from you and then Angela. And let's also hear from you too, Helena, and you too, Marina. We only have a short lesson tonight." Beth, a true experience. "I decided to try getting dressed up instead of being in slacks. Not that my husband ever complained about my slacks. But when I put on a dress, he said, 'Gee, it's nice to see you look like a girl once in a while. You sure do look pretty.' And he's right, Beth. You do look pretty in that white frock." Beth smiled demurely and sat down. Angela then stood and told the class how her weight was now down to the level of when she was single, and how she was able to speed up her weight loss in just a few days by halving her meals and running morning and night, and how she achieved her goal of being able to fit into the red dress she was wearing. She also told of the compliment from Brian. Helena, a true experience. I remember some years ago now, my husband had been rough and tumbling with our boys, and my daughter wanted to be in on the fun. As soon as he grabbed her, he felt the difference, her frailty, and he was automatically gentle, and even afraid to play with her for fear of being too rough and hurting her. I remember him asking why he didn't treat me with the same gentleness he did her, and he said, "You know, somehow you lost your femininity when you'd disagree with me and shout so loudly when we'd quarrel." That hurt, but I now admit it was true. In those days I had to fight not to be a doormat. Now I know better. I have come to realize my mistakes. I am regaining my feminine status in my husband's eyes. I am building him up and being more feminine. I can see his eager response. Marina, a true experience. I enjoy sewing, and I make most of my own clothes. But the other day my husband commented on the feminine dress I had made for last week's assignment. He told me how much he appreciated me looking nice for him. He also said he hoped I'd never stop doing this. Then he asked me if I would please have my picture taken by a professional studio, as he wanted a wallet size and a big photograph of me. We've been married for years, and he never before asked for a picture. Marina's gentle dark eyes glistened with tears as she sat down. "Oh, I could listen to your success stories all night," said the teacher. "Thank you all so much. Now tonight's secret teaches us how to get our husband to say yes when we ask him for things we need, or ask him to do something for us." She turned to the board and wrote, "Secret number 9. To obtain your wants from your husband, just ask with a smile, as a young girl asks her father." Some of the class laughed. "You mean I should sit on his knee?" said Cherry with a giggle. "Why not?" laughed the teacher. "That's a delightful way to ask your husband for something you need. This secret is so simple. Getting your husband to say yes is easy when you know how, but most women don't know how. They ask the wrong way and get turned down most of the time, and they often irritate their husbands at the same time. Now, when we were young girls, did we have any difficulty getting what we needed from our fathers? No? How does a young girl get what she wants from her father? It's simple. She just asks him with a smile. Just a simple request. No reasons. Just, "Daddy, will you please?" Or, "Daddy, can I please?" No hinting or explaining or justifying. No arguing the point. Just a simple ask, with a smile and a please, and maybe a touch. "Or sit on his knee," said Cherry with a grin. Yes, a young girl will sometimes sit on her daddy's knee when she asks for something, or hold his hand, or put her arm around his neck. But the most important thing is a simple request with a smile and a please. Angela again felt the peaceful inner confirmation come over her that what she was hearing was truth. She recalled that this was the way she used to ask her father for her needs, and he always seemed to delight in pleasing her. Yet would it work with Ted? A thrilling idea began to form in her mind. "Why do you think this way of asking is so effective, class?" Marina raised her hand. "Yes, Marina?" "Because a little girl is trusting and depends on her father so much. She makes him feel strong and masculine, just like we've been learning about." "A very good answer, Marina. Yes, class, Marina is right. The way a young girl asks shows that she respects her father's authority. She allows her father to enjoy his manly role as leader and provider. He just can't help but want to please her. Exactly the same approach works for us with our husbands. Why? Because when we ask submissively, we place him in his proper role of leadership. We make him feel masculine and strong. Therefore, our husband will want to do what we ask of him, if he's able to do so, and he will enjoy doing it for us, especially the satisfying feeling he gets from pleasing us. And what's more, his love for us will also increase. A man will go to great lengths to satisfy the desires of the woman he loves. The more submissive and dependent on him she is, the greater will be his desire to please her. But here again, this is only true when our husband is completely free of resentment toward us. Many women actually arouse resentment in the ways they ask their husband for things. How do most women ask for things from their husbands? Kathy raised her hand. Yes, Kathy? I'm probably typical of most women. She flashed her cheeky grin. If I want something from my husband, I'll usually start off by hinting for what I want. Then I'll make suggestions. If that doesn't work and I still don't get what I want, I start demanding and arguing and nagging until hopefully he gives in to what I want just to get some peace. A good answer, Kathy, and thank you for being so honest. Yes, so many women do follow that kind of procedure. First the hinting. Does that work? Not often, does it? What about suggesting? Yes, that can work sometimes, if our husband is in a good mood and what we want will benefit him, too. What about demanding? No, that really stirs up resentment in a man. And arguing? Highly ineffective. It even encourages his opposition. Most men can shoot down any number of logical reasons we put forward. Men are very good at that, but they only do it to protect their position as leader. For by arguing with a man, we are telling him that we do not respect his judgment. He can only salvage his sensitive male pride by bettering us in an argument. Nagging only makes matters much, much worse. Nagging causes deep resentment in a husband, and in us too, if we don't get our way. And when our husband does eventually give in and we get our own way, it's at the expense of his love for us. His pride is so badly wounded that his heart will be full of resentment for days or weeks, even years for some men. It's so important we don't make those common mistakes. But what a huge contrast when we ask the fascinating womanhood way. Just a simple request, with a smile and a please and a melodious voice. There's no need to explain why we need what we're asking for. It's enough for most men that it's our wish. When you ask this way, you'll usually obtain an immediate, favorable response, and you'll also feel the warmth of his love for you. Why is this so? It's because of a noble quality that God has placed in the hearts of men. This principle is so important to understand, I want to write it on the board. A man loves a woman more when he can do things to please her, and when he can sacrifice for her. This is a wonderful truth of fascinating womanhood. The more your husband feels he is pleasing you, the more he will love and cherish you. Therefore, we shouldn't hesitate to ask for our needs. We shouldn't be too self-sacrificing. It's better for our husband to spoil us a little. We women are inclined to do without things. We take comfort in feeling self-righteous. But when we do this, we rob our husband of his joy of pleasing us. Oh, this is so important to realize. The more our husband feels he is pleasing us, the deeper his love for us will grow. Elsie, you had a question? Yes, there must be some things we shouldn't ask for. Yes, Elsie, there are a few things we shouldn't ask for. There are some things that should come freely from a man's heart. Things like love and tenderness and most gifts, or to be taken out somewhere. These things are only of real value when given from our husband's heart without us asking. They will come when we live fascinating womanhood to its fullest. Now, let's speak about gifts. For major anniversaries, or your birthday or Christmas, where you know from tradition that your husband is going to buy you a gift, you can ask in advance for what you want. He'll probably be relieved. Most men dislike the uncertainty and difficult decisions of shopping for gifts. But all other gift occasions should be spontaneous. They will also mean so much more to you. Some men will ask what you want. Others will prefer to surprise you. If he does ask what you want, just tell him with a smile. Don't try and justify it. Just say to him, you would love that for a gift. It's just what you want right now. You can even offer to buy it on his behalf. He will probably again be relieved. Most men are not very good shoppers for women's gifts anyway, but many of them hate that kind of shopping. Though with the internet, it's best to let him do it. But we shouldn't ask him for things he really can't afford, except on exceptional occasions, like getting our teeth fixed, for example. Nor should we ask him to do anything or buy anything that demeans his masculinity or goes against his principles. Now, while we're talking about gifts, we should understand that many men dislike the commercial obligation of having to buy gifts on occasions like Mother's Day, Valentine's Day, and even anniversary days. And, as I said before, many men don't like gift shopping. If your husband has these feelings, accept them, but tell him you no longer require him to give you gifts on these occasions. I can see from some of your frowns that this might be hard to do, but he will be greatly relieved and may buy gifts for you impulsively. Or, more likely, he will show his love for you in many other ways, such as being especially kind and thoughtful, or taking you out, or taking you on holiday. Whatever he does for you, show your appreciation with feminine joy. This is so important. Whenever your husband has done something for you, or given you a gift, you must show your appreciation to him in a feminine way. How do we do this? How do young girls show their appreciation to their fathers? Yes, Cherry? Well, when my little girl gets a present from her daddy, she gets excited. She jumps up and down. Her eyes sparkle. Sometimes she clasps her hands. Then she gives him a big hug and kiss. The teacher beamed. That's right, Cherry. They become exuberant, don't they? Sometimes they exaggerate and say that their gift is the best or prettiest thing in the whole world. And what happens? Daddy gets a grin of pleasure from ear to ear. Men love grown women to be exuberant, too, just like young girls. They find it fascinating and delightful. They just love us to get excited over the things they do for us. It's very feminine in their eyes. When we behave this way, they enjoy pampering us and spoiling us. Our joy and our pleasure is their reward. A formal thank you, or worse, that's too expensive, will not encourage our husband to be generous. But your childlike joy, or even tears of joy, will gladden and thrill his heart. You will make him feel manly and protective. I know many women are serious or reserved by nature, but we can still awaken the child deep within us. Even the most serious children can show exuberance, smiles, and spontaneity. Singing in the presence of our husband can help us become more outgoing. That reminds me, how are you coming along with that assignment, Elsie? Oh, Harmony, I'm still trying to gather up enough courage, but I have started my goal list, and I've put that at the top of the list. In that case, I'm sure you'll soon be doing it, Elsie. Goal lists are powerful things. And before I end this video, I do want to mention that you do not have to have this childlike exuberance in front of other people. You can request that your gift be given to you in private. Also, every time you complain about a gift or exchange it or say it's the wrong color, or especially if it's too expensive, you're not going to get gifts anymore. If this suggestion seems over the top to you, just try doing it on a small scale. Accepting his gift with pleasure that he picked out for you, even with guidance from you, is huge. If you have rejected his gifts in the past, one day you'll find you won't be receiving any at all. I have several friends in that boat, and I recently had lunch with someone who said she didn't trust her husband to buy her anything. so she doesn't even get a gift on Christmas. I think that's very sad. Remember that you are modeling how to give and receive. Now, my husband gets so excited when he buys me gifts that he can never keep it a secret. Tomorrow is our 20th anniversary, and he's already told me that the gift that he bought won't be arriving until the day after, but we're going to be going out to breakfast and dinner tomorrow because my husband loves to eat out. And then he discovered that emerald is the 20th anniversary jewel, and he wanted to know what kind of emeralds I had, and I have an inexpensive bracelet in emerald color, and he wanted to buy me an emerald bracelet, but it was so similar to what I already had, we decided not to do that. So then I suggested a ring or a necklace, and we looked at them and priced them online, and ultimately I gave him a couple of choices, showing him what I liked. The one I liked best was only $30, a created emerald gemstone. But he shooed me away and said he'll make the final decision. And he told me, I don't want to get you a created gem. I want you to have a genuine emerald to match my green eyes. And since I have a good idea of what I will be receiving, and it won't be a surprise, I'd have a hard time doing what this chapter suggests of being overly enthusiastic and jumping up and down. I can't see myself doing that, and I'm sure many of you can't see yourselves doing that either, but some of you can. However, I will be over the top appreciative because I am. Not only is he buying me gifts, which we usually do not exchange gifts on our anniversary, I'm also getting a genuine emerald necklace, and that is out of the ordinary. And I want you to know that these secrets really do work. You have a calm, sweet, peaceful, loving home life. You become much more joyful, laughing. As you try to please him, he will try to please you. And this has not always been the case in our marriage. I had to learn the hard way, and he also had to change his thinking on many things. But truly, I know many people make a lot of fun of fascinating womanhood and call it old-fashioned, and, they just ridicule it and call women who live it horrible names. But it works, and I have a very wonderful marriage now. And I hope you will also put the secrets into effect, even when they seem over the top to you, and cultivate them, because it's just for your husband. Anyways, especially with gifts, I hope that you will be extra careful in how you receive gifts from your husband, your children, or anyone. I have an addendum to add. When I first read this chapter, and it talked about jumping up and down, clapping your hands when you received a gift, I thought, there is absolutely no way that I would ever act like that. And yet, I asked my husband to buy us blackout shades for the bedroom. And after he installed them, and he pulled down the shade and showed me how dark the room was, I actually, without thinking, found myself jumping up and down and clapping my hands and saying thank you. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, have I done this all my life? It was just so not how I picture myself acting, and yet I found myself doing it. And of course, it absolutely delighted my husband, and I thought I would share that with you. Also, in FW29, I talk more about receiving gifts graciously and joyously, and what to do when you receive something you just don't like.